As we continue on to number 61, we're still in Chapter 3, Section 4. Decide whether a line with a given slope slants upward, downward, horizontal, or vertical. Well, this is positive slope, so it's going to slant upward. If it were negative slope, it would slant downward. If it was undefined slope, it would be vertical. And if it were zero slope, it would be horizontal. So, our answer is upward. Determine whether the pairs of lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. Now again, we're looking for a strategy here, and the strategy we said would be to solve this equation for y. So we have 5y, which is this one. We're going to move the 3 over to the other side, so this is 4x, 3 over to the other side. Yes, we do get a phone call from time to time. So now we're going to transpose the 3 through the other side. So now we solve for y. And we get y equals 4/5 x on this one. We don't care about that part. So we want to look at the slope. We want to compare our slopes. Now let's do this one. So this is 10y. Transpose that. That's going to be a positive now, 8y equals 3. Going to divide everything by 10. And we get y equals, I'm going to simplify this to 4/5 y, and this is just plus that anyway. Okay, so our so I got distracted. Yeah, this is x here, so this simplifies to this. Now we have solved both equations for the letter y, a positive y, and now we compare our slopes. Here it's 4/5. This one's 4/5. This one's a plus, our y-intercept, a plus 3/10, a negative 3/5. So our y-intercepts are definitely different. So we said if the slopes are the same, but our y-intercepts are different, these lines are going to be parallel. So we put a dot right there. Parallel, let's see. Yep. Now keep in mind what we had on that last picture was the work that I could look at to give you partial credit and the way you would have arrived at the answers. Okay, here we're asked to find the slope of the line and then write the slope as a rate of change. Graph approximates the number of households to have personal computers Y in millions for year X. Okay. So this is sort of a complex one. I'll work it out and then show you what I've done. We'll take it in parts. So the slope is 79. I didn't get that one right, did I? Minus 71. So this is going to be an 8 there. And what I did is I just took the last year to keep the numbers a little smaller. This was a 6 minus 2. So this is going to be a 4. So what is our slope? Our slope is going to be 2. And that's 2 over 1, but we just write it as 2. So let's put that in there as 2. And that's good. Now, they do want us to continue, so let's click on continue. And then to find what here? Choose the correct statement below. And again, you'll have to read all of these. I'll read them over. And I believe it's A. So every year there should be 2 million more households with personal computers because our slope is 2. That indicates the amount it's going to increase each year. Okay, now they want us to find an equation of a line with a given slope that passes through the given point and write the equation in standard form. Okay, so for this, we need to have the point slope form. Y minus y sub 1 equals m times x minus x sub 1. And I'll substitute and work it for you. So I'm going to put the y value, which is a -7, into this formula. So the opposite of a -7 makes it a +7. My slope is -5. And my 2, which is the x value, a -2, I'm going to put there, but the opposite of a -2 makes it 2. So I'm now going to clear parentheses. Y plus 7 equals -5x minus 10. Going to get the 7 over to this side, and it becomes a -7. So this will be a -17. I'm going to get my x term over to this side as a positive. So I get 5x plus y equals a -17. So just check your work. They gave you the slope. They gave you 1 point. We put it in the point slope form, substituted carefully, and then when we got this, we get all the constants over to one side, the x term over to this side. Simplify your answers. Use integers or fractions for any numbers in the equations. Okay. So 5x plus y equals a -17. 5x plus y equals a -17. And we can check our answer. And we got that one. Now, find an equation of a line passing through these pairs of points and put them in standard form. Well, what we have to do here is to find our slope. So we use our slope formula, -9 minus a -9, which makes this a +9. Well, let's do that again. Well, with phone calls and my wife coming down, I'm getting distracted here. So let's try this again here. I have to find the slope of this. So -9 minus 8. Okay, there's my top line. And then my bottom line, -9 minus a -2 will make this a +2. So we now have a -17 over a -7, which gives me a slope of 17/7 that I'm now going to put into our point slope form. So I'm using this line, and y minus 8. Here we're using this 8, so in the formula becomes a -8. There's my slope. And then I'm putting in my -2, which now becomes a positive 2. So again, you want it in standard form, so you want to get rid of your fractions. So each term you're going to multiply by 7. So this is a 7. Multiply this by 7. Multiply this by a 7. And here the 7's just cancel out. So we end up with 7y, a minus 56 equals, then just distribute 17x plus 32. So we're going to transpose this term to the other side, just changes its sign, and this to the other side, add it to 34, and we get 90. And lo and behold, we have one that matches up nicely, letter B. Now you're probably going to get one like this on your final. This would normally, if we were doing tests that had different values, this would be like a 10-pointer there, and I see my mouse is going a little while. So we said it was B. And we have that one. Okay. Now for these, we want to find the domain. And what is the domain? The domain are your x terms. So it's going to be 4, comma. Let's highlight this box again here. 4, comma, 1, comma, 0, comma, and 8. So it's just the first elements, the x elements, is the domain. Now the range are the y elements. So 6, comma, -9, comma, 8, comma, and 0. So 6, -9, 8, and 0. Be sure your answer reflects what you want it to be, and you didn't accidentally do a typo. Now, here we're asked to determine whether a graph is a graph of a function. So for this one, we're going to use the vertical line test, which is a very thin vertical line that travels over the face of the graph. And we want to see if, as it goes over the face of the graph, it intersects anything in more than one place. So one place here, one place here, one place here, one place, one place, one place. It passes the vertical line test, so it is a graph of a function. Yes. Now, here the graph on the right is used the sunset time, particular country. Use the graph to approximate the dates when the sunset is at 7 p.m. So there's 7 p.m. And they're not giving us our months down here, are they? Well, I guess this is January, February, March, April. Starts in April. May, June, July, August, September, October. April, I don't see any October, so the closest one is April and September here. 7 to 7, so 1, 2, 3. We'll go with that anyway. You see what they're looking for. All right, so for something like this, again, the strategy that you'd want to do is make a little t-chart. And they're asking for values. This is a -3, a 0, and a 3. Remember, we can always change the function symbol to a y. So if this is a 3 times -3, this will be a -9. 3 times 0 is 0, and this will be a +9. So we'll put them in one by one. -9, 0, 9. -9. 0, 9. Find the domain and range of the function graphed at the right. Now again, domain refers to x values. So this eventually goes to -infinity, and this eventually goes to +infinity. And this comes up for range from -infinity to +infinity. So the domain is parenthesis -infinity, comma, +infinity, and a parenthesis. What did I do incorrectly here? Maybe there's a space there, I don't know. Oh, maybe I put a period there instead of a comma. Now, I did say comma. Ah, that's better. That's what it was. Now, again, on your math lab, I would give you full credit for that, because that's just a little typo here. And range is the same. Parenthesis, infinity, comma. Okay, got it that time. Details. What did I do wrong there? I didn't put in the negative. Oh, I thought I did. Oh well. Again, if you had something like that, I would take off super little, because it does show you have a comma separating that, so you implied negative. But be careful. Get the full credit right away. Okay, we're now into chapter 4. There's only one solution, and it's going to be a -1, 4. -1, 4. Determine whether each ordered pair is a solution for the systems. So we have to do some substitution. So when I put the values of 2 and 4 and substituted, they do check out. So the first one is yes. Oh, what did I do wrong here? Well, here's the case where I had the work, and I did say they were correct, but I inadvertently hit the no, where I should have hit the yes. I said they were correct. So again, if you have that work, and you show that, you've checked it and it does equal, I would give credit for that based on your work. That's why the blue sheets are so important. Is done the same way. And again, I don't want to make this too long, so I'll just pass up on that. I could go back and do those again. I want to solve these by graphing. So what technique would I use here is the question. Now they're both in standard form, so I suggest you do an X and Y intercept t-chart. 0, 0, 0, 0. So here if X is 0, Y is negative 4. And if Y is 0, this is a positive 4. So here I have a negative 4 and a 4. I'll graph that in a moment. And my next one is going to be both a 4 and a 4. If X is 0, it's 4. If Y is 0, it's 4. So this is a 4 and a 4. So here's a negative 4 and 4 and a 4 and a 4. Okay. Of course, you'll have this written down on your blue sheet. I have to change the page here. So get my line tool. I have a negative 4 and a 4. And then a 4 and a 4. Save and check. All right, now they'll probably ask me for that, what that point is. So it looks like it's on the x-intercept, which is 4, 0. And I type in an ordered pair. It's not giving me any tools here. Oh, there they are. So 4, 0. Good. All right, without graphing, decide how many kinds of solutions or what's going to happen. So here we're just going to solve the equations. And again, we said putting them in the slope-intercept form is a very good way. Y equals a negative 3x plus 0. And here it's going to be 3y equals a negative 9x plus 9. So I just put that in its slope-intercept form. I'm going to divide everything by 3 now. I get y equals a negative 3x plus 3. So when we compare our slopes, this is negative 3, y-intercept is 0. This is negative 3, y-intercept is 3 now. These, we're not graphing, but they would be parallel lines just by looking at the equations. How many solutions? Well, parallel lines have no solution. Okay, we're going to solve this equation or a system of equations by substitution. So let's write them out here. Now I know my x is going to be 2y, so where the x is, I'm going to put in the 2y. So 2y plus y equals 9. So I get 3y equals 9, y equals 3. So there's one of my ordered pairs. Now if y is 3, 2 times 3 is 6. So this was a very easy one. Our ordered pair through substitution. And again, on your blue sheet, you would write this out, show the substitution. So again, I can give partial credit. So I got a 6 and 3 here. 6, 3. Okay, you know what they want? They want the addition method here. Well, what do we need to do? We need to have something that will cancel out. So if I multiply this equation here by 2, these will become a positive 2y, and a negative 2y, when I add them together, will cancel out. So this will be 6x plus 2y equals a negative 10. And then we have here 2x minus 2y equals a negative 38. So I then get 8x equals a negative 48. Divide both sides by 8. I get x equals a negative 6. So now if x is a negative 6, I'm going to put that negative 6 into either of these equations, this one here. So 3 times a negative 6 is a negative 18 plus y equals a negative 5. Taking my negative 6, putting it there, 3 times negative 6, negative 18. I'm going to transpose that. So I get y equals, on this side it becomes a positive 18. So this gives me a 13. So my ordered pair looks like a negative 6 and a 13. And I put that in there, and that is correct. All right, my lunch is getting ready here, so I have to kind of wind this up to go to lunch. I want to get to 80. So here, solve systems by any method. Okay. So, I think I'll put them in standard form. So this is going to be a negative x that I'm transposing plus 4y equals 20. And this one I just have to write, it's in standard form already. 3x minus 4y equals a negative 20. So all I had to do is bring the x over to this side, because I saw that these would cancel out. So I now get 2x equals, oh, these cancel out, that's 0. So x equals 0. Now if x equals 0, I could use it right up here. Then I divide both sides by 4. Y will equal 5. So my ordered pair is 0, 5. I transpose that, added, eliminated, got this, and x is 0 here. Put the 0 there, divide both sides by 4, 5. So 0, 5. Let's see what we have here. 0, 5. And that looks good. Okay. You recall you had one like this, so let's check it out. So we're looking for strategy here. Now, it might almost be easier to do the equations, but they don't want you to. But let's look at the thinking behind it. So dimes, the number of dimes, plus the number of quarters, 80. So as we look over here, this one, this can't be an answer. So 30 and 50 would be 80 coins altogether. So this is a possibility. And 10 and 70 would be a possibility. Now, how much would 10 dimes be worth? Well, that would be $1 or 100. Now, 70 quarters would be 70 times 25, which would be 1750. So here we're at 1850. So we know the total is this, so this one couldn't be an answer. Now this would be $3.50 times 25 is $12.50. So B has to be the answer. But there's some thinking behind it, because they may ask you to do one like this. Okay, almost finished here. Okay, here we're asked to make some equations and solve it. So it says part of it's cut off here. Alright, so we can do our revenue. When we sell a desk is $5.50. So the cost to make each desk would be $200. That's just the regular X, no parentheses there. Got carried away. And we have a capital investment of $14,000. So our two equations then is this, which is y equals y equals. Y equals y is 550x equals 200x plus 14,000 equals 350x 14,000. Put that in my trusty calculator. 14,000 divided by 350. And we have to sell 40 desks to break even. Oop. Well, I'm getting way ahead of myself. Again, I have to read it carefully. They just want the revenue function, which is this, which I had. So cost function would be 200x plus 14,000. And again, we did that, but they're asking us to put it in parts. So to break even, we had to sell 40 desks. All right, we worked that out here. Again, if you have your work, that's going to be so important to get credit. Let's go on. I think we're at our last question now, number 80. All right, we're starting 5. For this is an easy one. What is our base? Is our base negative 5 or just the 5? Just the 5. And our exponent is the 3. Okay. Now they're not asking us to simplify, but when we come back, we'll do the last 20, and that will be our review for the final.